Greetings. Over the past few days, there has been much discussion, news reports, and commentary on the election of Zohran Mamdani as New York City's mayor. And of course, in the lead up to the actual election, we had figures such as President Trump himself, who advanced conspiracy theories and even publicly expressed religious and racial stereotypes. These were done with the intentions, with the hopes of stopping Mamdani's growth. And these voices, they only dimmed slightly after his election, because now we have voices who are advocating, for example, a brain drain, that the educated and wealthy residents of New York City leave New York City and move to other places. Also, there are claims that he himself is a communist and that he has this intention of implementing Islamic law on the population. And of course, even there's an idea that's been expressed that the Jewish residents of New York are in danger. Now, these things are well known to our viewers, but what I want to do very quickly is to share thoughts as to why he was elected in the first place. Now, his background, Mamdani's background as a South Asian Muslim, and his political philosophy, they actually worked for him rather than against him. Even though this takes place in New York City, which was the primary victim of the 9/11 attacks 2 decades ago. Mamdani won in part because he symbolizes what the majority of Americans want. Now, Barack Obama also had the same symbolism around him. And he articulated this, he understood his symbolism when he ran on a campaign with the slogan, "Don't tell me we can't change." And it can be argued that the current president, President Trump, that he has the same appeal, although we have to admit that appeal is in the exact opposite direction. With the new generation of voters today who are disgusted with the toxic political environment domestically, who are enraged by things such as the open genocide in the Middle East, which is perpetrated by Israel, and with support from the White House, with the domestic concerns regarding ICE, the election of Mamdani was a way for voters to express that decent Americans, especially in New York City, that decent Americans with common sense of all races, religions, and backgrounds, that common Americans are sick and tired of the status quo. We want to be able to live with dignity, with respect, with safety. We do not want to live from paycheck to paycheck, while the 1% are quite literally laughing all the way to the bank. We don't want to be a nation with the reputation of nothing except corporate warmongers. We don't want to have that type of reputation. Now, regarding New York City itself, its population is roughly 12% of the population. Its Jewish population is roughly 12%. And their economic strength, their economic influence is undeniable in New York City. Mamdani's rise in such a place, with actually the support of many within the Jewish community, should be enough evidence to show that his campaign or his agenda is not anti-Jewish in nature. Now, the bigger picture is that authentic changes, not just shallow things, authentic changes are needed in the political, social, and economic landscape of the United States of America. It should not be acceptable that people have no access to healthy food. There's such a term called food deserts. That should not exist in the United States. It should not exist in the United States that we don't have access to reasonable housing. It should not be acceptable that homelessness is normalized. Homelessness, now we have to admit, is normalized. That should not be acceptable in an American context. Now, I want to address another elephant in the room, And that elephant is the claim that many voices have advanced, even within the Muslim community, is that Zohran Mamdani is, in essence, controlled opposition, that he is a figure that is meant to distract and placate the masses. This is what many people have said, especially in the Muslim community. Even if that's true, and I am not saying that's true, but even if that is true, his elevation in one of the most important economic hubs on the planet proves that our core assertions are true, is that people, American people, regardless of religion or background, are not happy with the status quo. We want things to change. We don't want to continue existing as a society, as a country, in the way that we are existing. So for those of us who are living in places such as the United States or Canada or Australia or any of these places where there is a certain amount of political culture that allows for mass participation, our advice is to exercise your rights. Exercise your rights under the law and political culture that is available. But also take care to be equipped to survive in this fast-paced world. In other words, we cannot always expect that governments or politicians are going to be able to save us. So yes, we should participate in politics, but we should also make efforts on our own selves to give protection to our own selves and to our own families and to our own communities. And so this means things such as becoming educated, better educated, becoming stronger financially, and most importantly, spiritually balanced as much as you can. Thank you for viewing.